guys, it's Dr. George. Go ahead and type in those comments. And I have a very special guest, Miss Stenetta Anthony. So she's the author of the book we're reading tonight, A Home for Sally. So I know it's a little delayed, so we may say things, but just type in, hi, Kylie, from my London friend. Hello. Thank you for showing her love. And hello, Virtuous. How are you? Good afternoon. Good evening, Miss Rochelle. Hi, Riley and Anastasia. Happy birthday, Riley. It's his second birthday. Hi, Mike, and happy new year to you. And yeet, whatever it is. Hello. So I'll bring her out now. And there she is. It's Stenetta. Hello.
Hi, Dr. George. How are you?
We're fine. So we have our author, and this is my favorite part. Hi, Miss Macklin. My favorite part is when the authors come on, because as a little kid, I always say that I thought that all books just come on the shelf. You know, there's not a lot of work put behind it. But this is your book. And there's one special person. She's not on here yet, but her name is Sally Bertrand. She's a teacher at our school.
Oh,
She
wow.
loves dogs and she rescues dogs all the time. So I called her right before and I said, Miss Sally, there's a book named with Sally with a dog and adoption. I said, I think this is something special. So hi, Miss Duke. I've missed you too. So we'll get started. So Miss Stenetta, is it Miss, Mrs., Doctor? What is it?
It's Mrs. Stenetta Anthony.
Mrs. Stenetta Anthony. So Miss, tell us what inspired you to write this book.
Well, you know what? The main thing that inspired me was I just watching television and watching programs about pet adoptions, and I never seen. Well, let's tell a little bit about the book. I never seen where there were dogs with a disability. So I thought, where are they? I know they're there. And so that was the primary reason to write A Home for Sally.
Oh my goodness. So I know Miss Sally is crying because not only does she loves dogs, but she loves when dogs get adopted. And a disabled dog, well, you hit all of her sensitive spots. So hi, Tanaya. So happy to join you. So happy to have you here and happy new year and Alex. Hello, Alex in New York. Hi, Mabry, and hi, Miss Chapman. So we'll get started with the book now. A Home for Sally. And I hope I don't cry because, I don't read them in advance. I don't read them until Tucked In Tuesday. So A Home for Sally is dedicated to every dog who is anxiously awaiting adoption. So if you're a doggy and someone has you near, somebody's going to adopt you, and we'll make sure of that. So here's our book. Mrs. Brooks had tried to get people who were visiting her home to take one or more of her puppies without success. After some time and with a sorrowful heart, she decided to take her puppies to the Loving Care Kennel. Mrs. Brooks heard that this canine housing facility had a good adoption program and that her puppies would soon be placed with the loving family. So there we are. We've had that. Miss Sally actually had 3 dogs at her house that someone found on the side of the road. So she just went through that. As Mrs. Brooks entered the kennel with her puppies, they all walked in without difficulty. Each one except Sally, who was limping. Sally was born with a physical handicap. She did not have a front left paw. Time at the kennel went by fast for Sally's siblings. Each of them were adopted within 1 month of being at the kennel. However, Sally's time at the kennel went by much slower. It had been 9 months and Sally had not been adopted. So there's Sally. And if you see Sally, she doesn't have a front paw. You can see that. So that's Sally. Did I do? No, this is Sally, right? The one in the back.
Yes.
There's Sally. I already love Sally. Waiting to be adopted was miserable for this puppy. With tears rolling down her fur, Sally would often think, when is it my turn? When is someone going to adopt me? I have no brothers and sisters to play with. Most of my doggy friends are gone. I'm the last one left. By the time someone adopts me, I will no longer be a cute little puppy, but a full-grown dog with a big deformity. So there she is. Oh my goodness. Please let Sally get adopted. Hi, Ava, Aubrey, and Pop, and Happy New Year to you as well. National Pet Adoption Month was soon approaching. It was the special time of the year when many people would visit the kennel looking to adopt a canine. To prepare for this special month, all the dogs in the kennel were groomed. Their nails were clipped, polished, and their doggy fur brushed to a shiny coat. All the dogs enjoyed this special treatment. Everyone except Sally. She wouldn't let the groomers put polish on any of her nails. She felt it was too embarrassing to only have three of her nails polished. After each dog was groomed, they were confident that they would be adopted, including Sally. So that's Sally. Oh my goodness. Monday morning came, and Chris, the owner of Loving Care, said to all the dogs, okay, everyone be on your best behavior. I want each of you to be adopted and have a new home. As the doors opened, people began to come in. The kennel was super busy from the time they opened until the time they closed. Excitement was in the air. Children were running and playing with all the different dogs. As the children played, some of them would point to Sally, saying, look at that funny looking dog. She can't even run. This was frustrating for Sally because she couldn't run, but could only limp behind the children. Now, that's not nice to pick fun at her. It's one thing to not be adopted, but to pick fun. National Pet Adoption Month was almost over, and Sally still hadn't been adopted. She was feeling sadder and sadder by the day. Watching as her friends were being adopted, Sally would walk to the mirror looking at herself. She thought about what her doggy friends Bobo and Zumi said to her, repeating it over in her mind. You're not worth adopting. Who wants to adopt a deformed puppy? She walked away from the mirror with her head hanging down, holding back her tears.
No.
Sad. Later that evening, when Chris was at Boo Boo, Zumi, and Sally's cage, she patted each of them on the head. Don't be sad, guys. You'll have a home soon. Sally barked at her two friends and said, soon. When is soon? I can't go through this rejection much longer. If I'm not adopted, I don't know what I will do, crying softly as she walked to the back of the cage. It was the last day of National Adoption Month, and Sally was still waiting to be adopted. Only two customers had come into the kennel that day, and they were only purchasing toys for their new pets. No one was looking to adopt. So, oh, they're there. Well, said Chris, I think I'm going to close a little early today. We haven't had any customers for hours. But before she could finish her sentence, the doors opened and walked a couple with their child. They walked to the counter and began asking questions about the adoption process. While Chris was answering the couple's questions, their child walked around the store. He went from one end of the store to the other, never seeing Sally. Going back to his mom, he said, where are the dogs? I thought we were coming to get me a new puppy. Looking at her child, the mother replied, son, be patient. This is a big decision. I'm sure they have some dogs somewhere in the store. Maybe wants to adopt Sally. She'll be a great friend to Red. So we'll see if she gets adopted. Maybe. Let's see if she'll need your help. Okay, Mom, replied the boy. As he walked toward the back of the kennel, he opened the door and there was Sally standing by her cage. For a moment, she looked up with excitement, but then turned her head. Putting his hand out, the little boy said, come here, doggy. Sally didn't move. Again, the boy said, come here, doggy. Slowly, Sally limped to the boy. As he looked into Sally's eyes, he said, I think I found my new puppy. This is the one. Jumping up and down with excitement, the boy ran to the front of the store. He said, I found our puppy. Come look and see. This is the one I want. Hearing this, Sally's ears perked up. Maybe this is the day, she said. Walking over to the cage, the parents looked at Sally and whispered to Chris, where's the dog's paw? Chris began to explain that Sally was born without one of her paws, and other than that, she was a normal dog. And she was the last of her litter to be adopted. She is 9 months old and was the star student in her obedience class. Sally is great with children and has had all her vaccinations. So, hello, Jessica. As the couple talked, Sally waited, limping back and forth in her cage. It seemed to take forever. Sally wondered, what is the couple going to do? Calling to Chris, the couple said, we've made our decision. We are going to adopt Sally. Hearing the news from her cage, Sally began to limp around excitedly. She was finally going to be adopted. Sally couldn't wait to have her adoption papers signed and ready to go to her new home. As the papers were signed, Sally proudly looked at her new family with a small tear rolling down her fur, thinking, "Someone finally wanted me, deformity and all." As the little boy carried Sally out of loving care kennel, she became a little sad, looking back at her friends Boo Boo and Zumi sleeping in their cages, wondering if they would ever be adopted. Here she is. Hello, Jennifer McCulley. So that's the end, and she leaves us with a cliffhanger. And Valerie Simon said, "Yay, Sally!" So there's a mini dictionary back, and the words are adopt and adoption. That means to take up and practice as one's own, to accept formally and put into effect. Deformity means a physical blemish or distortion. Handicap means having a physical or mental disability that limits activity. A kennel is a shelter for a dog or cat. Perspective is the act of looking forward, something that is awaited or expected. And vaccinations means to administer an adoption, an injection. So she has a little dictionary in the back. And then she went even further and put places in Illinois where you can go and adopt animals. And we have some locally here, and you have some in your area. So you told us what inspired you to write the book. And it says that you're an educator in here, and you live in Illinois with your husband, children, and grandchildren, where living life to the fullest is her and her family primary goal. So tell me a little bit about Sally. Mabry's glad Sally was adopted, but she really wants to take care of her. So we have Sally. So tell me, do you have any dogs at home?
No, I currently do not have a dog at home. We did, but we don't anymore. And so Sally's story is in the beginning, where I really considered about not just her with a disability, not just dogs, but children as well, who are not always in the forefront. We kind of sometimes push them to the side. And I just wanted to bring their stories to the forefront and saying that all of us are worth being loved. All of us are worth being adopted. We're all special. Even though we may have something a little different about us, we're just as special. God made us just as special as anyone else. And so that's why I wanted to tell Sally's story.
Love that. So Sally didn't have a paw, but she could run just like the other dogs. She was happy, her ears perked up, and Miss Duke wants to know, where do you live in Illinois?
I live in the big city of Chicago.
Oh, Chicago. So A Home for Sally is a very good book. So tell them, how can they find this book? How could they purchase this book?
Okay, so you can find A Home for Sally online. So it's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and Target.
And Ms. Macklin said, great message. She's our little reading person here in our district. So every time I come on, she reads, and something about animals touches our heart. So I want to say this. I do this every time I read, and I picked your book because I didn't read it in advance, but I knew it needed to be spotlighted by itself. What is your biggest takeaway from your own book?
My biggest takeaway from my own book is I equated to something about myself. And I have a story that's similar to Sally. I have a finger that was injured when I was a child. Think about 2 or 3, that never officially healed. And so that finger it was a sore point when I was a child. I didn't want people to see it. I tried to hide it. And eventually I had to begin to love my finger and love myself and appreciate that I had this particular finger that looks different than all my other fingers, and that it works just as well. Like, I can bend it, I can stretch it, and everything. So that's my biggest takeaway from the book.
Okay, great takeaway. Love it. I have the information scrolling at the bottom by her book, and her permission was not granted by HarperCollins, but by Miss Stenetta Anthony herself. So I'm going to fix that real quick. But my biggest takeaway from this book is never lose hope. Never ever lose hope. We're when we were placed on this earth, we were placed for a purpose. And everybody has some part of their body that they wish they could fix, even if it's not a deformity. I have a little lump in my nose. I don't know if you can see it, but people can see it. And I have these little pointy teeth, and they're not deformities, but they're things that if I could hide, I try my best to hide them. But my husband, I have a husband, and he loves me in spite of. So if you're out there and you're thinking there's something wrong with your body or something that is not right or something that is, it doesn't mean that no one will accept you. It doesn't mean that. So never lose hope. So that's my takeaway from that with this book. A great, great, great message in your book. So before we go, I always like to say, if no one else tells you, Dr. George loves you. You have any words to leave them with, Mr. Netta?
And I am in agreement that I love you as well, me and Sally.
Yes. So thank you so much, guys. Join us next Tuesday, and thank you. Are there any other books, Mr. Netta?
I do. I am working on a book now about humans and their four-legged animals.
Humans and their four-legged animals.
Mm-hmm.
So I take it a fish wouldn't be on there.
A fish would have been on there, maybe.
Maybe. And before you go, I want to say, I always say that Tucked In Tuesday has these little hidden messages. I don't know you. I've never met you. We actually met 5 minutes before, actually 2, because we had some audio issues. Mm-hmm. And if you look in her back screen, behind her, there's sharks. And of all the onesies I had, I picked a shark onesie. And I hurt my back leaving work today, but if I did not have, I show my little fin, but you can see it kind of on back of my head. There's a fin on my head and one on my back. And it just shows you that everything works out for our good. So that's why Sally was adopted. And that's why anyone that's having any kind of self-love issues or thinking that you're not good enough for anybody else, your turn is coming soon. So thank you so much, Mr. Netta. Thank you guys so much. You're still getting messages. Yes, a lovely story. Great book. Love the message. So some of them like when you go back later and just comment on the things, they'll appreciate it greatly.
Okay, I will do that. All right. Thank you so much.